Hey guys, hope everybody's having a fantastic day, whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. I am glad you're here. Today's video is going to be a little different. I wanted to compare a couple of knives, the Renegade Provisions God of Mischief and my Brian Brown Yeager M. What I was going to do is I was going to use Lefty EDC's little grading chart that he does when he does his comparisons. One thing I took off there was the leftiness because I'm not ambidextrous and I couldn't do much about that. But I haven't looked at these knives as a comparison until right now, but I figured I'd take a look at them. We'd look at them together. We'd kind of make some very subjective, and I stress subjective, determinations about these two knives because they're both fantastic. And we'll go from there. How about that, guys? All right. So when we look at price between the Yeager and the God of Mercy or God of Mischief, the Yeager came in. This is the Urban EDC, not Urban EDC Supply. This is the Urban Supply Company version with the DLC coated blade and the micarta inlays, and it came in right at, I paid $380 for it. And then the God of Mischief from Renegade Provisions, I picked this up and paid $365 for it. So if we're going on price alone, the lower price goes to the God of Mischief. Perceived value. So I haven't watched one of the Lefty's videos today, but when I think of perceived value, to me, it's the refinement kind of goes into a lot of things. But if we look at the materials, if I'm a consumer and I say, okay, these are both blackwash DLC coated M390 blades. These are both titanium with micarta inlays. This knife, to me, being a front flipper, and I chose the flipperless version here. This would be a traditional flipper, but I chose the flipperless version here. It does have more angles where the God of Mischief is more rounded, I guess you'd say, is one. But that's a tough one, guys. When we're talking about perceived value, I would think perceived value is going to have to be a draw on that one. I don't think one is perceived over either, so we're not going to give either a point there. Aesthetics. This again is very subjective, guys. These are both Wharncliffe knives. One of them has a little bit more aggressive point than the other. They both do have piercing tips. They both have great finger choils, but the appearance, I'm sorry, subjectively again, I'm going to have to give it to the God of Mischief. Ergos. I love the way the Yeager fits my hand. I love the choil. I do feel the clip in my hand when I really grip down. God of Mischief's got nice jimping on the blade where my Yeager doesn't. It's also very much rounded. I can still feel the clip. But again, love both of these knives, but the ergos, in my subjective, humble opinion, are going to go to the God of Mischief. So that brings us to cutting. Ruh-roh. I need something to cut. I'm listening for sounds, guys. All right. Both of these knives are super slicey. The Yeager has this deep hollow grind and actually had less friction going through than the flat grind on this God of Mischief. So cutting, and that's kind of, again, subjective because I'm not cutting wood. I'm not cutting steak. I'm cutting a little piece of coupon book. But y'all saw it. I heard it. It says here, tie will be determined by my subjective vote, as will all these little things that we're checking off here. So cutting goes to the Yeager. Carry. I've got on some ratty jeans, guys. Carry's going to go to the God of Mischief. The Yeager is a little tight, getting over my seam of my pants. Both of them carry very well. Both of them are not deep carry, but they're both going to carry just about as deeply as each other. They're very similar in that respect. The Yeager is just a tad bit shorter, but the God of Mischief gets a check on that as well. Sound and acoustics. This is, again, going to be very subjective, but when we listen, and I'll let y'all listen, I think the acoustics, guys, the God of Mischief has got more snap, more pleasing acoustics to me than the Yeager, which sounds great, don't get me wrong. That pop and clack. Guys, this is starting to get bad for our friend the Yeager. Let's look at the action. Neither of these have skiffs in them. I'm doing this horizontally. Action goes to the GOM. Fit and finish. One thing I'll say about fit and finish is it's absolutely, you cannot feel any transition in the micarta and the titanium on the God of Mischief. The way that the Yeager's designed, it's designed with the micarta to be a little bit offset, but it fits in there very, very well. When you look at the frame lock versus that bolster lock, the fit and finish is just excellent. The pivots, very similar. There is a little bit of roughness around this canvas micarta where there's not any transition or roughness around the canvas micarta on the GOM. So as minor as that is, that will be another check mark that goes to the God of Mischief. We can look at materials that we went over earlier. We can give that a dead tie. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1, guys, for the God of Mischief. And again, the reason we didn't have to spend a lot of time on materials is when we were looking at perceived value. They are both titanium micarta with DLC coated M390 blades. The top flipper, I don't really give that any factor because in any of these subjective musings, so to speak, cutting is probably the most important thing that a knife does. Most people would think because the God of Mischief came out so handily on top in our little test here that it would, of course, be my favorite knife. And really, I can't say that it is. I love both of these knives. And this was just to kind of use the lefty scale and see how it worked and to see if it would actually surprise me like I've seen him get surprised. So Y'all, if you're not already, which I'm sure you are, sub to @LeftyEDC. This is a shout out to @LeftyEDC. I like your little grading scale, brother. If I was left-handed, I would definitely give a score there. And I'm going to go ahead and give the leftiness score to the Yeager to make it 7-2. We'll call that a courtesy score. But anyway, the God of Mischief wins. There was no tie because without the lefty, I did have 10. With leftiness, that's the tiebreaker. So I'll try to come up with another variable that we can measure to give us another tiebreaker. But guys, I appreciate you stopping by and watching a video with me. I appreciate any time you come by and check out the channel. I do appreciate if you subscribe if you haven't already. If you hit the like button if you feel like it. Hit the down button, leave a comment. Tell me that this was stupid or I was wrong, or you like this better, or you think the acoustics of the Yeager are better, because it's very subjective. There's no right or wrong answer. But most importantly, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. I love you all. Peace.